Welcome to Season 3 of The Biz Show, sponsored by Invest Choir. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hey, everybody, welcome to The Biz Show. And today, I'm your host, Barry Bestpitch, and we have a special guest host, Anthony Manifold, who's taking the place of his mother for the day. Anthony,
Hey, Barry,
welcome.
Barry, how
Hey,
you
very,
doing?
very. Oh no, is that something a family tradition or something?
I told her I would carry on her legacy over this episode, so I would start it off the way she would as well.
All right. Well, beriberi is like scurvy. It's a disease that you got to take. You got to eat some oranges for that.
So what do we got on our plate today, Barry? How have you been?
I've been great. It's been a busy, busy week. I mean, I've been working till 9, 10 o'clock at night on deals that we're working on, right? And I'm up at 5 in the morning. It's just go, 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 go. But that's where I thrive and that's where I live. So I love it. This weekend I'm doing nothing. I'm just taking it off
There you
and
go.
relaxing.
There you
So
go.
yesterday was a big day for my wife and me. We had our 26-year anniversary together, 29 years, and as well, somebody had a birthday yesterday too.
Yep, it was my 24th birthday. It is my last year of still being a kid in my eyes, because next year I will be living a quarter of a century.
Anthony, I remember when you're 20, 21 years ago when your mother sold Tammy and I our first home. And you were just a little thing running all over the place. And look at you now.
Yep, I remember sitting in her real estate office playing on her BlackBerry,
Yeah.
her
Oh,
BlackBerry
that's old. That's
phone.
old. Yeah, yeah. Well, the podcast, we're winding down season 3 and we're getting ready to start season 4. And by the way, season 4, we will be on video.
Yes, I'm sure
So
lots of people are looking forward to that.
they are. And by the way, we're up to 37,000 listeners worldwide.
Awesome.
So
That's super amazing.
I think we're doing something right.
Yeah,
Um,
great content,
we are
and the
just
video
having
is just going to add to
fun.
that.
Yeah, we're
Hmm.
just having fun and helping people, uh, answer questions about business.
Hmm.
And with that, something came up last week with a client that we're working with who is going to invest in a private company. And that
Okay.
question well, it's a private company. It's not on the stock market or anything. What's my exit strategies here, right? How
Hmm.
do I exit a private company? Obviously, if you have shares in a public company in the stock market, you can just immediately sell those shares back and you get your money at whatever cash out and you're good to go.
Hmm.
With private companies, it's a little bit different.
Hmm.
There's a secondary stock exchange. There's things to talk about, and we're going to kind of actually just talk about all of those, um, so that our listeners can understand
Hmm.
what's available to them, right?
So we're going to discuss all the different pathways a business owner can take if they wanted to exit from their company today.
All the main pathways, yeah. There's
Okay.
there's a few others and stuff like
Okay.
that, but let's kind of
Let's
just
do it.
let's do it. So the first option is sell it back to the company, right? Company buyback.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what that is. What the company will buy back those shares from you. So let's say you bought 1,000 shares at $10 each, right? So you got what, $10,000 invested in the company. An evaluation though needs to be made of what those share values are worth, of what the company's worth, and what the those shares will then be worth. And then if there's any discounts associated or anything like that, obviously the company's going to try and do that. At that, then the board of directors would vote to buy back those shares. The good
Hmm.
news is that's easy. It's clean. You're in, you're out.
Hmm.
Um, but
So if
yeah,
someone's trying to exit fairly quickly, they would go with a company buyback.
right, right.
Hmm.
And this happened. A particular client, he was interested in buying into a company who, has got a runway. It's a little bit longer than what he wanted. So he's like, well, hey, if I sell early, like maybe a year into this, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one way.
Nice.
There's
And then
there's
what are the cons for that, Barry?
Well, the cons are the company, you got to really pay attention and make sure that you double check and do your due diligence on their finances and stuff like that, right? I suggest always having a third party company, accounting company, or somebody come in and evaluate that company for here's what it's worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't rely on the company because they might lowball you. Yeah, it's a trust factor, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you trust the company, you know the people and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I always suggest a third party. Why? It keeps both you guys neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of you have skin in the game in regards to that evaluation. It's done
Mm-hmm.
by a third party. You can't say you cheated or you're trying to gouge me or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's, to me, that's one of the disadvantages of it. But it's probably the best way to get your money back fast.
Okay.
The other thing is you got to watch out for, does the company have the money to buy it back?
Uh-huh.
A lot
And
of
that's what the
startups
accountant
don't,
is for.
right? So they're money hungry, and if you bought, $10,000 worth of shares a year ago, and now the company's got valuated and those shares have appreciated, and now let's say they're worth $15,000, does that company have $15,000 to lay out to you?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Don't really know for sure, but nonetheless, it's something that you should definitely take a look at. And
Mm-hmm.
if that can't happen, well, then there's other avenues, right? The secondary a secondary sell, and so there are brokers that will go to market like us. We're a business broker, right? But there's
Yep.
also investment brokers and stuff like that that you can, for a fee, they'll charge a fee based off of the sale, um, go out and shop and sell your shares for that company to other people who might want to buy in. So that's a secondary market, and we are actually working a deal right now
Is that
with
considered a fractional sale, Barry? A
Yeah,
secondary
yeah,
sale?
it
Mm-hmm.
could be.
Okay.
It could be considered that. Yes, we're actually your mom and I are working on a deal right now that is just that, where um, there are shares for this large defense contractor that have come up for sale because some investors want to get out. So that secondary sale, somebody can
Mm-hmm.
buy those shares. And they've appreciated, right? Because these people probably were in the seed fund for this company. So they might have bought in for $10 a share. Today they're
Yeah.
$89 a share, right? So,
Yeah.
but as the company grows, and this particular company is a huge, huge company in the billions, so those shares are going to grow. And at
Mm-hmm.
some point, the company will go on the public market.
Oh, okay. That's very exciting.
So that said, if you can buy those shares, um, yeah, you stand and make a lot of money. You probably have to sit on it for a couple more years,
Mm-hmm.
but the runway for that is 2 years.
Yeah.
So, with that, it's basically selling to other investors. Maybe there's people already in the network that have already bought and
Mm-hmm.
they want more shares. So, okay, easy peasy, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a platform that private equity and family offices, and that's really the one that we're involved in right now, have where they will buy the chunk of it and then sell it off to some of their people and stuff like that, some of their partners or whatever the case might be.
Okay.
So there's actually two secondary markets. One is um, through private equity, family offices, VCs, so on and so forth. The second one is on the marketplace.
Hmm.
And there are several marketplaces out there, right? So Forge, Equity, Zen, um, Cartel X, Carta X, not Cartel. I forget the cartel. Well, the cartel might want to get involved. No, don't.
Yeah. They're not doing it on the market.
They're doing it under the market, yes.
Yes, under the
And we're
table.
not talking about any of that, and we don't encourage any of that whatsoever at all. But another avenue to go, right? So the next one is a liquidity program. Tender offer liquidity program. That's typically where, let's say you have those 10,000 shares, or it was 1,000 shares and $10 each for my example. So you're looking for liquidity. Well, maybe you're not going to sell all of them. You're going to sell there a fraction of those, right? So
Mhm.
maybe you're going to sell 500 or 400 of your shares, and because you want to keep some for yourself still, and you don't want to be completely out of the game, but yeah, you need the money or whatever the case might be.
Okay. So the
So
difference, so Barry, the difference between the liquidity and the secondary sale is the liquidity program is more in bulk sale. Am I correct
exactly,
in saying that?
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, more in bulk sale. Perfect. You got it. All right, we're done with the podcast. We can go now. No, not at all.
On the
Uh,
next show.
yeah. So, the thing is that everything's uniform. It scales and stuff like that. There's not a lot of due diligence that has to happen because you guys already know what the stock's worth, so on and so forth, things like that.
Hmm.
Company doesn't have to be valuated. The next is M&A, mergers and acquisitions, exit. That is really not you selling your shares per se. It is you're waiting for the company to be sold or bought out,
Hmm.
right?
And you guys are working with a couple of those clients too.
We are. We're actually working on a couple M&A deals and heading a couple of the M&A deals. Yeah.
Nice.
And those are a company, we have a company in San Diego that's looking to buy a like company of theirs so that they
Uh-huh.
can merge the two together, right? So acquisition and merger, for people, you hear there a lot of time they say M&A, right? But it's
Uh-huh.
acquisitions and mergers, or mergers and acquisitions. Um, that is a long process, right? So typically mergers and acquisitions take 6 months to a year because there's due diligence that has to happen. And the due diligence, there's several different types of due diligences, right? There's obviously the financial due diligences. There might be the technology due diligences. And then there's the HR and then market to see where you sit in the marketplace and stuff like that. And all these things take time, right?
Hmm.
And there might be several different people or entities that touch them.
Hmm.
Some of them, like ourselves, do them all, where we'll go through all of them on the financials and on the marketing and then on the HR. But also, we have referral partners and partners that we work with that will do it. For instance, am I a CPA? Absolutely not. But we have access to CPAs. We have that are in our network. We have attorneys. We have all that stuff. So we will be the one-stop shop, even though there still might be a couple different people playing around in
Exactly. Just like any other broker where we refer you to a lender or an
it.
appraiser or that type of stuff.
You got it, right? Just like in selling a home, right? You sell a home, you got your real estate agent on one side, real estate agent on the other side. You
Hmm.
got an appraiser that's going to come in, then you got a lender, then you got the title company, you got the
Yep.
escrow company. They're all independent,
Hmm.
but yet they all work to close in a transaction.
Exactly.
So, there's another one that's not really used that much called a redemption put right. It's funny because it is preferred. It's a it's a contractual agreement, if you will, to force a buyback in so many years. So you have to look at your when you buy that stock, you have to put that exclusion inclusion into your contract when you buy the stock. So keep in mind, this is private stock, right? Private equity in a company. So that said, the SEC is not governing this, or well, they do, but in a different kind of way.
Hmm.
So you can add addendums to contracts and stuff like that. So
Okay.
if I have a company and I say, Anthony, hey, I want you to buy, 10,000 shares of my company, and then here's our boilerplate contract. You can look at that and say, okay, that's cool, but here's what I want to put. I want to put this clause in there that you are going to buy my shares back at whatever the fair market value is in 2 years.
Okay. So it's
If
a clause
I can exercise,
before buying the company.
I can exercise that right, right?
Okay.
Not that necessarily will happen, but you have the
Hmm.
right to exercise, buy this back.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's really unique and could be useful in lots of situations.
well, it's a way to keep your money safe, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully, especially
Yeah.
if a company's already operational, they're already got revenue, recurring revenue coming in and stuff like that. It's a way for you to make sure you can get out
Hmm.
if you so choose.
Yeah.
Um, we're working on another one right now called a safe, right? And a safe is it's a safe note, and a safe note basically is a simple agreement of future equity. And what that is in essence is there we go. There we go. Um, we're not putting an evaluation on the company right now. No dollar amounts
Hmm.
assigned to it. So we actually are working on a Series A round for a company. Uh, and the first 3 million of that is a safe note. And a safe note basically is we're not going to put evaluation on the company. You can then take the money that you've invested in, you can, we're going to get it today. The company's going to get it today, but they can apply that the shares at a later date.
Okay.
So right now, this company, they're in a Series A. Um, they buy it, somebody buys in with a safe note, they're going to give them the $3 million. They're going to hold that $3 million. And then later on down the road in Series B or C or D or whatever, they can then take that towards whatever stock they want to do.
Hmm.
So here's another idea of a podcast that we should probably do behind this one is understand liquidity and understand the shares and the dilution of the shares from seed rounds to
Hmm.
uh, uh, series A, B, C, D rounds because typically on a seed round, a founder of the company is going to have 75% ownership of the company.
Hmm.
Then they go to a Series A, that's going to drop to about 35% ownership, right? So they've lost controlling ownership of the company because now VCs and other high wealth individuals are in there. And if they go to DE, at E round, you got about 10, 12% ownership in the company left. So, uh, there's a dilution of shares. And so sometimes a lot of people like, or a lot of investors like the safe note because, hey, I can get in and my $3 million is worth a lot more money in a further down round instead of right here in the beginning.
Hmm. Are there any tax liabilities with doing that,
There's
Barry?
always a tax
Gonna- Yeah,
liability.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Uncle Sam, he's always wanting his share of it, right?
uh-huh.
But there are ways, and I would tell you there are opportunities. Talk to your tax, your accountant, your CPA, whatever the case might be. They can show you some avenues to at least minimize that. Um, so, but that's not us, right? We don't
Yeah.
necessarily do that. But we would turn you on to a partner if you need that.
Hmm.
And then the last one is really a block trade, which we kind of talked about a little bit already, right? And the block trade is you can sell it to the founders or executives in the company or other major investors, right? So um, it's fast, it's easy, and
Hmm.
the founder might want to buy it back because, as I just mentioned, as you go through all the different rounds, the founder themselves are losing money, not money, but they're losing control of the company. So
Hmm.
if you've got 10%, you know, and they got 10%, and you want out, they can buy your 10%. Now they got 20%. So they can start
Hmm.
building their way, building blocks back up to having control of the company again. And I've seen that happen many times. And you know, there's um investors that are like headhunter investors, right? Uh, Carl Icahn is one of them, and they go in and they just gut companies. They'll buy up shares from all these different company or all these different investors in the company until they have uh, um, control of the company. And then once they have the control of the company, they basically make the decisions, right? All the other
Mhm.
shareholders in their eyes can just, you know, get lost. We're going to do what we're going to do because, you know, we have over 51%. So the vote's whatever I want.
Uh-huh.
And
So
most of,
a block trade goes hand in hand with the company buyback and the secondary sale,
yep,
but
yep,
you're
yep.
selling to the founders and the major. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, it's very convoluted. It's really hard for people to understand how this all works. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they have classes and just on this, right? On
Yeah.
um, exit strategies and stuff like that. But back to the Carl Icahn and you know, stuff. Once they have control, typically they're selling the company, they're gutting the company, they're laying employees off, they're doing whatever because they're in it for the money. Nothing more than how much money can I make on this?
Uh-huh.
And we've seen them gut some really, if you go out and run a search on some of the dealings of these people, you would be shocked at some of the things that they've done. It's just
Just to maximize their profit and equity in the company.
maximize their
Hmm.
profits. They completely gutted companies that were huge, huge companies, and now they're just nothing. You know, take a look at, remember BlackBerry? I think you mentioned that earlier, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember how big BlackBerry used to be?
Yeah, it was the iPhone back then.
Yeah. Where's it today?
It's gone. Where is
It's
BlackBerry?
actually still around, but they don't even have phones anymore, right? They're now data centers and stuff like that.
Okay. So
So
that they don't
they had
produce any technology like physical technology anymore.
yeah, they had to get completely out of the phone and the texting and that business. I don't know if they're completely out of it. I'm pretty sure they are though.
Hmm.
And they've really moved into the technology side of things.
Okay.
But they're just a small little shell of the company that they used to be. I mean, they used to be the company, right?
Uh-huh.
And, you know, on all these podcasts, I've always said, um, if you're number one, you got a target on your back,
Hmm.
right? Because number two and number three, maybe four and five are you know they're shooting arrows at you
Hmm.
because they're gunning for you, right?
I see all the cell companies like T-Mobile and Verizon, all of their commercials and advertising are pointing pointing targets at their backs because they want more sales than them at the end of the year. They want more coverage.
You know, it's funny too because my wife and I were talking about it the other day. We were watching a TV show, a commercial came on, and it was Verizon. And Verizon says they have the best and biggest network in the US. And then the next series of commercials, T-Mobile, we got the biggest and the largest network in the United States. I'm like, well,
Hmm.
wait a minute.
Which one?
Verizon just said they had it. They just said this, they have it. You know, where's the truth in advertising?
Hmm.
Right? There isn't any.
Yeah, there
Anything,
isn't
if
any.
somebody's trying to sell you something, you better look deep.
Uh-huh.
You know,
When T-Mobile absorbed Sprint, Barry, is that considered M&A?
yep, absolutely.
Yep.
That's a
Okay.
mergers and acquisitions, right? So I've done 44 mergers and acquisitions, right? At GE Capital. I bought 44 companies. So I built a business, right? From making $60,000 a year to making over $55 million in 3 years. How did I
Wow.
do that? M&A,
Hmm.
M&A.
M&A.
I'm going out looking for technology companies. Oh, cool, great. Yeah, I'm from GE. Let's talk about what you do here. Oh, that's really cool. You know what? We could do that. Um, Drill down a little bit. So, how much do you want for the company? They're like,
Hmm.
what? I said, yeah, I want to buy your company. You know, and then so we sit down and negotiate, and then we buy the company. Now what have we bought? Well, we bought their product, we bought their customers, and we bought their employees.
Hmm.
Now I merge those into my company, and I'm off to the next.
Yep.
So the quickest way to grow your company is through mergers and acquisitions. It always has been. That's just business 101. You
Okay.
know, it's faster. It's faster than trying to grow it yourself organically and bootstrap it.
Hmm.
That takes time. You know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody does. But if I can make a quick deal on a company in 30 days, I may have doubled my income or my customer base, and whatever the case might be. There's
That's
also
pretty cool.
a strategy of mergers and acquisitions and buying companies that they're failing and are in debt, and then
Hmm.
you're because those companies then buy debt. Why do they buy debt? Do you know?
Because it's a tax write-off.
You got it. Yeah, you do know. All right, good boy. Yeah, it's a tax write-off for them. They can take that money that they bought and write that all off. So, hey, I have let's say I'm going to owe $350,000 in taxes. Let's go buy a company for $350,000 that is losing money.
Hmm.
All that's 100%
Hmm.
written off.
So Barry, will then investors try to revamp the company and well, they're buying it for M&A reasons, right? But then they're
Mhm.
using it as a tax write-off.
Yeah,
So then it's basically their business, and they already know their business is profiting and gaining year to year.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you're buying that type of a company, right? Yeah, you still want to get those customers. There is no revenue, right? So that's the
Uh-huh.
missing piece. But you can buy those employees, and then what you do is you sit down with those employees and you figure out which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to kick off to the curb.
Uh-huh.
Because there's already uh, overlap on the employees that you already have, right?
Hmm.
So if they have accounting and billing and salespeople, I would typically interview with them and sit down and look for the ones that kind of fit to our company culture, the ones that have a decent, if they're salespeople, decent book that they can
Hmm.
bring in. And then the others is, okay, sorry, you got to go.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so, anyways, that's kind of where we're at in regards to how you can revamp, or should I say, reclaim your investments in a private equity company.
Hmm.
A lot of advantages to doing that. And then, the other thing is it's all private, right? So there's no public records or anything like that per se. Don't get me wrong, there is, but for instance, if you're buying stock in Microsoft, right? That's on the stock exchange. It's going to be publicized everywhere and stuff like that. If you're buying in a private company, we got to talk about company structures, right? We got to talk about sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, S corps, and C corps. So LLCs, S corps, and C corps, there is a public record, right? And every year you
Hmm.
have to send an affidavit and notes, corporate notes and stuff like that of what's gone on in the company to the state.
Hmm.
And so with that, that becomes public record. Um,
Yep.
Sole proprietorships, partnerships, not so much. But most things we find is LLCs. And the thing is, right, LLCs, they only get 100 shares. That's all they have to work with, right?
A
Same
hundred
with
shares.
100 shares is all you get.
Hmm.
LLCs, that was LLCs. S corps, 100 shares.
Oh, okay.
C corps, that's the standard corporation everybody knows. You
Uh-huh.
can have millions and millions and millions of shares. For instance, when I was the CEO of World Intermed, we had 25 million shares in the company. And then we would disperse those shares to investors based off of them investing in the company.
Hmm.
So if you are a S corp or a C corp, you got 100 shares. So there you got to be careful about, what those shares are worth and who you're giving them out to.
Hmm.
So
Because each one is more valuable than the thousands that C Corps have at their disposal.
Right. C Corp
Yeah.
starting out, they're for instance, when we started out with World Intermed, uh, our shares were worth point zero 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 one. Right. But it's up to us to grow that. And how do you grow that?
Uh-huh.
Through revenue and growing the company.
Yeah, it has a higher ceiling.
And a good example is Facebook, right? When they went public,
Hmm.
they were a private company, they were C Corp, and that C Corp, their shares were worth X amount of dollars on the secondary market,
Hmm.
if you could buy any. And I'll tell you, we are working with a company right now who bought millions of shares from Facebook at 80 cents a share.
Wow.
Right. This is before they went public, so pre-IPO.
Uh-huh.
Years, and they sat on that stock for 6 or 8 years. I can't remember. They sat on that stock. They were thought about selling it a couple times, and they didn't.
Hmm.
Well, when Facebook went public, the day they went public, it was on the market for $17 a share, right?
Yep.
Do you know what it closed at that day, the same day?
53.
I think it was more like 79 or $80 a share.
Okay.
So already they had millions of shares. They just became instant millionaires overnight. Not even
Hmm.
overnight, in half a day, right? In just the
Yeah.
trading of the day. So it's always good to take a look at smaller companies that are, going to possibly have something that can drive them into the market.
Hmm. So when they're a private company, Barry, and they want to get on the Nasdaq and the public trading, do they consider their private shares to determine the public price?
Part of them, not all of them.
Part of them. Okay.
Yeah, their revenue is going to speak volumes too, right?
Hmm.
Because Facebook was already doing advertising and stuff like that and making money off of that.
Hmm.
So, but what they have as far as shares and then shares outstanding, it's kind of a balancing act. So, with that, I think we'll wrap up this podcast. But if you have questions, please reach out to Lisa, myself, or Anthony. Um, and we can get you answers you need, right? Um, how do you reach us? You can catch us at investquire.com, Lisa and myself. Anthony's there too, by the way. As well, you can, we have a group page on Facebook called The Biz Show. You can catch us there. Please subscribe. And I mean, we've got, as I mentioned earlier, over 30,000 listeners worldwide. In our Facebook group, I think we got about 100 people in the
Hmm.
Facebook group. And then in subscribed, it's kind of hard to tell, only for the fact because we are syndicated. So you have to go to Spotify, you have to go to
Oh,
Amazon, and all that. But overall, I think it's about 250 subscribers. But
yeah.
yet, nonetheless, we still have 37,000 listeners weekly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because when people start listening to it, it pops up on their most recent page, and then they click it when they see there's a new episode. So
Yeah,
that's how you get
yeah.
the repeat listeners.
And then Spotify and most of them, that's also how we can grow the podcast. The
Hmm.
more subs that you have, subscribers you have, then the more often they will put you out there when people are searching for
Yep.
podcasts to watch.
Please subscribe, everyone. Barry and
Please.
Lisa are doing a great job.
We just like helping people,
Yes.
right? Anthony, thank you so much for filling in for your mom. And I know
No
you've been a
problem.
guest on the podcast before, and I'm looking forward to having you in the future too on the podcast too.
Thank you, Barry. I
And
love coming on.
anything going on with you before we knock off?
Nope. I think I'm all good.
All right, very good. Well, thank you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest specific business topics you'd like to hear. Bye.